So I'm going to build off what Ness just talked about and focus on, as part of the work we did, we looked at what's coming in the future of developments in heat pumps. And, hey, what's already in Europe? Because the technology we have here is primarily from Asia and none from America, which is kind of disappointing. And it's supposed to let me go forward.
It does not like you. Well, I allowed access.
It's funny.
You were pressing something. What were you pressing to advance it? The arrow.
Wow.
But you have to be careful about what
There you
arrow
go.
you press.
Yeah. So as Ness just talked about, there's many different types of air source heat pumps. And in looking at what's in Alaska today, we can boil it down. Overwhelmingly, they're the ductless systems, made in Japan from Mitsubishi and Fujitsu. In the residential applications, they're being used like a Toyo as a room heater or like a pellet stove. And if they're in a commercial application, like a building where you want heating and cooling, they tend to have multi-zones. As Ness talked about, they're relatively cheap to install, and everyone we talked to seemed really happy with them. That's just the briefest of overviews of what they are. So what are the problems with them right now? With existing technology, as Ness talked about, they have a declining efficiency and heat output as the outdoor temperature drops. And that's obviously problematic because you need more heat as it gets colder. And you can't just solve that by getting a bigger box, because if you do, you can buy more heat output, but the efficiency is going to drop because it's going to be cycling on and off. So you can't just get a bigger unit. And as it gets colder and colder and colder, and it's fighting harder and harder to meet heat demand, at some point it just saves itself and quits and switches over to electric resistance. So that's a big problem for electric utilities, because all of a sudden they're providing this much energy, then when you switch over to electric resistance they're providing this much energy. And that kind of gets them concerned because they have to manage their whole system. And the systems we have right now don't provide domestic hot water. So you have to come up with a separate solution for that. So all these things can be an issue in Southeast depending where you're at. And it's pretty crippling in interior Alaska. As we talked about with one example, you have to have a fully redundant heat source.